Can we all take that? Mrs. Charles.
Present.
Mr. Cohen.
Here.
Mrs. Gong.
Present.
Mrs. Kemka.
Here.
Mrs. Yelisevich.
Here.
And Mr. Klein.
Here.
We have quorum.
So tonight, we're very happy to honor our retirees for the 25-26 school year. This year's retirees have a cumulative of 647 years of service, which is amazing. And we appreciate everything they've done for the profession, for the students in Livingston, and for the community. Tonight, our MC will be Sue Berman, our Director of HR. She's going to get started.
It works. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Let me just tell you, I guess, first of all, how it's going to go. We're going to ask our board president and our superintendent to stand over here and greet each of the retirees over here. Tony McLaughlin's going to be helping me out by taking pictures. And if after you get your gift from the board, you can stay by the risers so we can get a group picture at the end, that would be great. Just to give everybody perspective, we have 14 of our 28 retirees here this evening. So you can pace yourself, or I can pace myself. So we'll start with Martha Cuervo. Nearly 26 years ago, Martha Cuervo made the courageous decision to move from Colombia to the United States, bringing with her more than 22 years of experience as a teacher, supervisor, and pedagogical coordinator. While beginning a new chapter in a new country came with challenges, including not yet speaking English and relying on a translator, her passion for education, determination, and unwavering commitment to students enabled her to thrive. Over the past 25 years, she has become a valued member of Livingston School District community, building meaningful relationships with colleagues, forming lasting friendships, and making a positive impact on countless students. She often reflects with gratitude on the opportunities she found in Livingston and the support she received throughout her career. What she treasures most are the students whose smiles, enthusiasm, curiosity, and love of learning brightened each day. Their energy and excitement brought her joy, kept her young at heart, and served as a constant reminder of why she chose a career in education. As she begins her retirement, she leaves behind a legacy of perseverance, dedication, and care for others. Her journey is a testament to the power of embracing new opportunities, overcoming challenges, and making a difference in the lives of those around her. Congratulations, Martha. You're going to go in the riser back. Yep. Okay, you can stand on the riser. Okay. Or you can stand over there if you want. Okay. Next is, I'm going in alphabetical order in case you get confused. Dave Diodosio. Dave has had the unique privilege of spending his entire educational career with the Livingston Public Schools, beginning with his student teaching experience and continuing through nearly 3 decades of dedicated service. Over the course of 29 years, he served in 7 of the district's 9 schools, embracing a variety of roles, including classroom teacher, technology coach, STEAM teacher, and athletic coach. His willingness to take on new challenges and opportunities allowed him to make an impact across the district while building meaningful relationships with students, colleagues, and families. Working in so many schools and capacities gave him the opportunity to meet and befriend countless wonderful people, creating connections that have enriched both his personal and professional life. As he reflects on his career, Dave is especially grateful for the many opportunities, experiences, and friendships that Livingston Public Schools provided. His versatility, dedication, and commitment to students have left a lasting impression throughout the district, and his contributions will be remembered by the many lives he touched along the way. Please join us in congratulating Dave on his retirement and thanking him for his 29 years of service, leadership, and care for the Livingston school community. Congratulations. Gabe Espinoza. Is he here? Is he not here? I don't see him here. Okay. Anatoly Fonarev. And I skipped Ellen Fisher, and I'm going back to her. I apologize. I went out of order. Anatoly Fonarev. He's taking a picture of me. Okay. His distinguished career in science and education spans continents, disciplines, and decades of achievement. He began his professional journey as a scientist, earning a doctoral degrees in both physics and molecular biology and teaching advanced physics at Moscow State University. His experience and leadership led him to serve as head of laboratory at the Institute of Chemical Physics in Moscow, and later as head of the Department of Kinetics and Biophysical Processes. Throughout his scientific career, he authored more than 70 published research papers, contributing significantly to his fields of study. After moving to the United States, Anatoly continued his passion for both research and education at various universities before bringing his wealth of knowledge and experience to Livingston High School. There, he had the privilege of teaching AP Physics 1, AP Physics C, Mechanics, and AP Physics C, Electricity and Magnetism, inspiring generations of students with his deep understanding of science and his commitment to academic excellence. While his students achieved remarkable success in the classroom and beyond, he often joked that teaching physics was sometimes easier than convincing students that homework was actually good for them. His sense of humor, combined with his expertise and high expectations, made him a memorable and respected educator. As he reflects on his years in Livingston, Anatoly is especially grateful for the support and camaraderie of his colleagues, students, and administrators. He extends particular appreciation to his supervisor, Brian Carey, whose kindness, leadership, and encouragement helped make his years in Livingston especially meaningful and rewarding. Throughout his career, Anatoly helped students understand some of the universe's most complex mysteries. Yet, as he liked to point out, even physics has not fully explained why calculators cannot seem to work during tests. His intelligence, dedication, warmth, and humor will be remembered fondly by all who have the privilege of learning from him and working alongside him. Congratulations. Ellen Fisher. Ellen holds a BS and an MBA in finance, along with general business education certification, and began her professional career in the field of finance with American Bell. Driven by a passion for learning and teaching, she transitioned into education, where she found her true calling in technology and STEAM instruction. Over the course of her career in Livingston Public Schools, Ellen served in a variety of impactful roles, ultimately concluding her career as a technology coach and STEAM teacher. She taught in every school in the district, sharing her expertise and enthusiasm for innovation, problem solving, and creative learning with students and staff alike. Her influence extended well beyond the classroom. Ellen contributed to the development of the New Jersey Computer Science Standards and CSTA National Standards, as well as curriculum work for computer science for New Jersey. She also served as a teacher educator and mentor for aspiring educators through King University, Rutgers University, the College of New Jersey, and NJECC, helping to shape the next generation of teachers. A strong advocate for elementary computer science and STEAM education, Ellen has been a consistent voice for expanding access to innovative, future-ready learning opportunities for young students. Her leadership and vision have helped strengthen instructional practice across the district. In recognition of her continued innovation, she was awarded the NJEA Frederick L. Hip Foundation for Excellence Grant in the amount of $3,000 for her project, Arcade Reboot, Crafting with Cardboard, a testament to her creativity and commitment to hands-on learning. Throughout her career, Ellen has combined a strong foundation in business and finance with a deep dedication to education, leaving a lasting impact on students, colleagues, and the broader field of technology education in New Jersey. Congratulations, Ellen.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Mike Jawabnik. Mike has dedicated 37 years to music education in the New Jersey Public Schools, serving Livingston High School with distinction as Director of Band since 1999. He also serves as the district's lead music teacher, helping to shape and elevate the music program across the district. Under his leadership, the band program has experienced significant growth and distinction, expanding to include 3 concert bands, 2 jazz ensembles, and one of the largest marching bands in North Jersey. His commitment to excellence has helped foster a culture of high achievement, artistry, and pride among student musicians. The Pitt Orchestra for Musicals has consistently been recognized by the Paper Mill Playhouse as one of the finest in the state, a testament to the program's quality and dedication. In addition, the award-winning Wind Symphony is widely regarded as one of the premier high school ensembles in New Jersey and is frequently cited as a model program for others to emulate. Through his vision, leadership, and passion for music education, Mike has created a lasting legacy with the Livingston School community, inspiring generations of student musicians and elevating the performing arts to an exceptional level of excellence. Congratulations, Mike. Sherry Kane. Sherry Kane has been a dedicated member of the district for the past 12 years, where she has had the privilege of working with wonderful students at both Riker Hill and Hillside Elementary Schools. Prior to joining Livingston Public Schools, she built a strong foundation in early childhood education, serving for 20 years as a pre-K teacher at both the JCC and Temple Beth Shalom. Throughout her long career in education, she has taken great joy in making meaningful differences in children's lives and supporting their growth and development. In addition to her work in schools, Sherry embraced a variety of experiences that reflect her creativity, energy, and love of working with people. She worked part-time at Bloomingdale's and Board and Brush, and during the summers while raising her children, she served as a costume and set designer at Willow Lake Day Camp for 4 summers. There, she played an important role preparing 920 children each summer for different shows, an experience she found both challenging and deeply rewarding. Her favorite role in education has been that of a teaching assistant, where she has had the opportunity to work closely with her former pre-K students as well as many other children over the years. She has especially enjoyed watching students grow both academically and socially, celebrating their progress at every stage. Throughout her time in Livingston, Sherry has valued the supportive and collaborative staff at both elementary schools and feels she has learned just as much as she has taught. She leaves with many meaningful memories and deep gratitude for the opportunity to have been part of such a caring school community. Congratulations. I'm in the way too. Tara Lockwood. Give you a clock. Tara Lockwood began her career in Livingston Public Schools as a student teacher and was fortunate to be hired as a kindergarten teacher at Harrison School, making the start of a long and meaningful journey in the district. 4 years later, she moved to Riker Hill Elementary School, where she spent 15 wonderful years teaching kindergarten before transitioning into 2nd grade. Over the course of her 34 years, she has been honored to serve the same district that has meant so much to her, growing personally and professionally within a community she deeply values. Beyond her classroom responsibilities, she also contributed in a variety of important roles, including assistant to the principal, team leader, committee member, and social committee coordinator, supporting school life in countless ways. Her years in education were enriched by the strong relationships she built and the joyful experiences she shared with colleagues and students alike. Special memories such as Rockstar Reader Day and the Fairy Tale Ball stand out as cherished highlights, moments filled with laughter, creativity, and a strong sense of community that she will always hold close. As she reflects on her career, Tara expresses deep gratitude for the friendships, memories, and meaningful experiences that defined her time in Livingston. It has been a privilege for her to be a part of such an extraordinary school community, and she leaves with a full heart and lasting appreciation for the years she spent serving its students and families. Congratulations, Tara. I hope everybody will humor me. I saw Gabe walk in. Come on up. I'm going to go backwards. Gabe Espinoza. After 34 years of dedicated service as a district bus driver, Gabe Espinoza retired in November of 2025, leaving a career marked by reliability, commitment, and a genuine connection to the school community. Throughout his years with the district, he safely transported students to and from school, supported athletic and field trips, and played an important role behind the scenes by ensuring buses were taken for maintenance and remains ready to serve our students each and every day. Known as an all-around go-to person in the transportation department, Gabe was always willing to lend a hand, share his knowledge, and help wherever needed. He often reflects on how much he enjoyed working within the community and the many friendships he made along the way. Looking back, he describes his career as a great experience and is amazed by how quickly the years passed. As he begins his well-earned retirement, Gabe looked forward to escaping the cold winters through travel, tackling projects around the house, riding his bike, and spending more time with family. On a personal note, I would be remiss if I did not mention the impact Gabe had beyond his official responsibilities. Every morning when I arrived at the central office, he was a ray of sunshine whose warmth, positivity, and friendly demeanor helped start the day on the right note each and every day. His presence is deeply missed by those who had the pleasure of working with him. Please join us in congratulating Gabe on his retirement and thanking him for 34 years of outstanding service to our students, staff, and the community. Ali Marzullo. No, I saw. For 21 years, Ali Marzullo dedicated her life to inspiring students throughout the study of the French language and culture, creating meaningful and memorable learning experiences both inside and outside of the classroom. Her passion for education extended far beyond daily lessons, helping students develop not only language skills, but also a deeper appreciation for the world around them. Among the highlights of her teaching career before she joined Livingston were chaperoning student trips to Paris and London, organizing Broadway excursions to New York City, and serving as an advisor to the French Club, National French Honor Society, and Interact Club. Through these experiences, she helped students build confidence, broaden their perspectives, and create lasting memories. Later in her career, Ali served as supervisor of the World Language and ESL for Livingston Public Schools for the past 4 years. In this leadership role, she remained committed to expanding opportunities for students and supporting multilingual achievement. One of her proudest accomplishments was helping students earn the New Jersey Seal of Biliteracy. We're going to see that later this evening, recognizing their proficiency in multiple languages and celebrating the value of cultural and linguistic diversity. As she reflects on her years in education, Ali takes pride in the students she mentored, the programs she strengthened, and the opportunities she helped create. Her dedication, enthusiasm, and commitment to language education have left a lasting legacy that will continue to benefit for students for years to come. Congratulations. Michelle Matten. Michelle's journey with Livingston began in 1992 when she attended her very first teaching interview just 1 week after graduating from Glassboro State College. What started as the beginning of a new career quickly grew into a lifelong passion for teaching and a lasting connection to the Harrison Elementary School community. Throughout her career, she has touched the lives of countless students while also helping to shape the next generation of educators. She served as a mentor to several new teachers and welcomed 5 new student teachers into her classroom, generously sharing her knowledge, experience, and love of teaching. In recognition of her dedication and impact, she was honored as Harrison Elementary School's Teacher of the Year in 2016. Among her cherished memories is her final winter concert, when Harrison Chorus alumni, along with current and retired colleagues, returned to join in singing Hot Cup of Coca, a beloved concert tradition she began in 1992. The moment was heartfelt tribute to the relationship she built over the years and the enduring legacy she leaves behind. Her career has been defined not only by excellence in teaching, but also by the warmth, enthusiasm, and sense of community she brought to Harrison School each day. Congratulations, Michelle. Jean Peslak. Jean is a proud graduate of the Fashion Institute of Technology at Montclair State University and holds a master's degree in social studies and reading specialization from Caldwell University. Her strong academic foundation reflects a lifelong commitment to learning and growth across multiple disciplines. She began her career in the district in September of 2006 and has taught a wide range of grade levels, including pre-K, kindergarten, second, third, and fourth grades. If you stayed, you could do first and fifth. This diverse experience has enabled her to support students at various stages of development, helping build strong academic foundations while fostering curiosity, confidence, and a love of learning. Beyond the classroom, Jean enriched school life through a variety of student-centered initiatives. She organized a garden club for fourth and fifth graders, providing hands-on learning experiences that connected students to nature and to responsibility. She also led a book club during lunch, encouraging a love of reading and a meaningful discussion among students, and facilitated an early morning math club that gave students additional opportunities to strengthen their skills in a supportive environment. I'm tired with your day. Throughout her career, Jean has been dedicated to creating engaging, inclusive, and enriching experiences for students. Her creativity, versatility, and commitment to student growth have left a lasting impact on the school community she has served. Congratulations and a well-deserved retirement.
Thank you for all your help.
Karen Pinto. Karen is retiring after 32 years in education, including the past 18 years with Livingston Public Schools. As a gifted and talented teacher in both the elementary and middle schools, she developed and provided engaging curricular and enrichment opportunities designed to challenge students to think creatively, extend their learning, and pursue their passions. Throughout her career, she has been a strong advocate for gifted learners, consistently working to ensure that students are both supported and challenged at the highest levels. She takes great pride in the meaningful and engaging learning experiences she was able to design and implement, helping students discover and develop their unique strengths. Karen is most proud of the positive impact she has had on generations of students, both in Livingston and in her previous districts. The relationships she built and the growth she witnessed in her students stand among her most meaningful professional accomplishments. Congratulations on your retirement, Karen. Janine Williams. Janine began her 29-year career in Livingston teaching with mathematics at Livingston High School. After 4 years in the high school setting, she made a request that surprised the then Superintendent Bob Grady, a transfer to an elementary school. While unexpected to some, it was the fulfillment of her longtime dream to work with younger students. That decision led her to Riker Hill, where she spent 12 years helping students develop confidence and a love of learning. During that time, she also served for 1 year as the district's math supervisor. She later joined Hillside Elementary School, where she spent the final 12 years of her career continuing to make a lasting impact on students and colleagues alike. Throughout her years in education, Janine embraced opportunities that extended well beyond the classroom. Among her favorite memories are chaperoning Livingston High School students on a trip to Italy and directing students in 30 different musicals. These experiences allowed her to share her enthusiasm, her creativity, and her love of learning while creating unforgettable memories for generations of students. As she reflects on nearly 3 decades in Livingston, Janine takes pride in the relationships she built, the students she inspired, and the countless moments of joy she experienced along the way. Her dedication, passion, and commitment to students have left an enduring mark on the Livingston school community. Congratulations. We wish you all the best. Congratulations. Last but not least, Christine Zambrio. I'm going to preface that by saying I'm not going to be as funny as you were at the LEA retirement dinner. Let's just start there. Christine began her teaching career in 1993 and joined Livingston Public Schools in 2000. Since then, she has dedicated her career to primarily to teaching fifth grade mathematics, while also serving in a variety of roles as a classroom and STEAM teacher across grades K through 5. Over the years, Christine has had the privilege of working closely with students at multiple grade levels, helping to foster curiosity, confidence, and a strong foundation in learning. Her time in Livingston has also been defined by the relationships she has built, forming lasting relationships and friendships with colleagues and maintaining meaningful connections with former students, many of whom have gone on to achieve success academically, athletically, and in their personal lives. One of the most rewarding aspects of her career has been witnessing the growth and accomplishments of her students long after they have left her classroom. She takes great pride in the collective impact made through shared effort, dedication, and a commitment to student success. As she reflects on her years in education, Christine is deeply grateful for the experiences, relationships, and opportunities that have defined her time in Livingston Public Schools. As she reflects on her career, she leaves with a deep appreciation for the colleagues, students, and families who made her work both rewarding and memorable. Congratulations, Christine.
Once again, thank you to all the retirees on behalf of the whole board. I know all my board colleagues, as am I, very, very grateful for everything you have done for this school, for our students, and every day for showing up with the true dedication to be here, to support our kids, and we're truly grateful. And I hope that you keep coming back to visit us.
Our next presentation tonight involves Ali Marzullo, our supervisor of world language and MLL. Each year we have students who get tested to demonstrate their proficiency in the world language, and here's Ali to make the presentations.
Thanks. So Sue Berman was correct in saying that this is like one of my favorite things to do as a supervisor, is to support the students in pursuing the seal of biliteracy. And over the last 4 years, the program has grown, and it's really exciting to see that students are coming out to take the test in their home languages. So it's not just the languages that they're studying here, but it's the languages that they're bringing with them. So I thank you tonight for allowing us to be here and to present and recognize the students. So this prestigious recognition honors seniors who have demonstrated a high level of proficiency in 2 or more languages. It's a testament really to your dedication, students, your perseverance, and exceptional linguistic abilities. Among this year's recipients are 5 students who have distinguished themselves by earning the seal in more than one language, so 2 languages. So the Seal of Biliteracy really promotes the study of world languages. It certifies biliteracy skills for colleges and for future employers, but it also affirms the rich cultural and linguistic diversity of our community. To qualify, students must demonstrate proficiency in reading, writing, listening, and speaking, either through an AP exam or that we use the STAMP, which is the standards measure of proficiency. And also they must demonstrate their skill in English, and we do that through this state testing. This year's recipients represent a wide range of languages, which I think is really cool because this is what's growing. So we have languages like Chinese, Filipino, French, German, Greek, Hindi, Hungarian, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Lithuanian, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, and Turkish. So their accomplishment reflects not only individual excellence, but also our district's commitment to preparing students to thrive in a global society. We had 78 students receive the Seal of Biliteracy this year, so we have just a representative here this evening. So I'm going to call you up by language. I'll do it alphabetically. If you arrived after the meeting had already started, I'll call you up at the end and then present you with the certificate if you didn't have a chance to check in with me. Okay, so we're going to start with Chinese. And when I call your name, if you can come up and you could stand by the risers so we can get a photo after. Calvin Chu. Grace Wang. Jo Altia Marian Mertola, and she earned it in Filipino. And Sophie Elizabeth Schumacher. Sophie earned the seal in German. And Lexis Chen, is Lexis here? Chinese? Okay. Let's see. We have a lot of certificates. Okay, here it is. Kritika Kaushik. And Kritika earned the seal in Hindi. And Christoph Heli, who earned it in Hungarian. Congratulations. And now we're going to switch to Italian. We have Tanner Kropik. And we have Jake Mandela. And Jenya Narang, also in Italian. And Taeha Oh earned the seal in Korean. And in Portuguese, we have Hayeni Koblinger. And now we'll switch to Spanish. Cecilia Gal. And Jordan Harmon. And Ari Kesterbaum. and Abe Klein. Oh, thank you. And Jeremy Lovenheim. Justin Solis. And if I didn't call your name, if you arrived after the meeting already started, if you can come on up and I will announce you and hand you your certificate. You can line up here, and this way I can present you with the certificate. Okay, Lev Kovanov, and you did it in Spanish, correct? Russian, sorry. I was trying to go by memory. Here you go, congratulations. Gabriel Lopez, and you earned the seal in 2 languages, Chinese and Spanish. Great. Alex Pessoa, who earned it in Spanish. Josh Oliveira, also in Spanish. Congratulations. Is that everybody? Okay. Thank you. And thank you to the Board of Education for recognizing these student accomplishments, and to the families, teachers.
This is sort of a natural break in the program. We're more than happy for you to stay and hear about some facility referendum options. Barnett from BWS Architects, formerly DeCaro Rubino.
everybody come out, or they're going to look at it on the screen? Perfect. Perfect. We good? Okay. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to present the two options to you tonight. Oh, that got loud. Is it better if I hold it, or I'm good now? The two options for a potential referendum for the district. And when we look at, you said it was about 3 years ago? Was it about 3 years? We've been in the district for 19 years. We're coming up on 19 years, so 3 years seems like a short period of time. When we look at the goals for the district for this referendum, it was address the increased enrollment, additional academic program space, athletic field improvements, the consolidation of district buses, as well as facility improvements. So I'm going to walk you through the two options that we've come up with based on the first piece, which is addressing the increased enrollment, and how that triggered or looked at from a grade realignment across the district. Option one, just a little bit of delay. Option one looks at turning the Mount Pleasant Elementary School into a pre-K center, which would move the pre-kindergarten spaces out of Burnett and allows for the elementary schools to be a K through 5. Looking at Heritage Middle School as a 6-8. So we would move the 6th grade out of Mount Pleasant Middle School and into Heritage. The high school would stay a 9-12. We'll also show you the high school athletic fields proposed, the central bus depot, what we would propose for Monmouth Court as far as renovations, and then lastly, the security and access control and IT upgrades that would occur throughout the district. So when we get into option one, as at Mount Pleasant Elementary School, Burnett currently has 6 pre-K classrooms. So the 6 pre-K classrooms would come out of Burnett and they would move to Mount Pleasant Elementary School. So those are the rooms that you would see in blue. The classrooms that you see in yellow are the additional classrooms that would become available should we move we turn Mount Pleasant Elementary School into purely a pre-K center. So you would see that you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 extra spaces available should the pre-K program, should you choose to grow the pre-K program. When you look at Burnett, now Burnett takes six classrooms out, so 6 pre-K classrooms out, but with the projected enrollment increase, you still need 24 total classrooms. You have 23 in the facility now, but you need 24 to handle the projected enrollment. So you see the addition that we would put. I don't have a way of pointing, right? Yeah, you have that over there, right? Okay. All right, so in the upper left-hand corner, you see what we're proposing as an addition. So it would be the one classroom that would be required to meet the needs for the additional enrollment, as well as we would pick up some support spaces, and that would allow us to remove the temporary modulars from the site. When you go to Collins, when you look at the projected enrollment, you actually have 1 spare classroom available. So you have existing of 22 spaces. What's what's required according to the demographer's report is 21. So you see in the upper left-hand corner, you see that space in yellow. That's one space, one classroom that allows for potential growth. Harrison, oop, I didn't touch anything. Okay, we good? Okay, thank you. When we look at Harrison, Harrison has 23 classrooms available. What's required is 26, again, due to the projected enrollment increase. So that we proposed three classroom additions. Now, when we met with the faculty, the principals from each of the schools, it wasn't just 3 classrooms. They had asked for They had asked for small group instruction space, faculty rooms, ability to collaborate. So when you look at the addition that we're proposing off toward the plan right, that would be adjacent to the existing gymnasium, you see the 3 classrooms in blue, but in purple you see the small group spaces, and then in green you see the faculty faculty room collaboration space. So we did that because we picked up 2 additional SGIs in this scenario, because as you look in the corridor that I've created that connects from the existing building to the gym and then vertical up through the addition, it creates that inside of that L. So we were able to capture those spaces as small group instruction. When we look at Hillside, Hillside needed 3 additional spaces, but we also took into account what we would need if we remove the modulars from the site. So the modulars are currently inside of the H shape of the plan. We would remove those. So in Hillside, we're going to be building on the 2nd floor. So when we designed Hillside, the Hillside edition a number of years ago, we designed that to accept a future 2nd floor. So the second slide I'm going to show you shows that addition, but on this piece where you see the purple and the green, that's an addition to the plan south of the last addition that occurred there, and that starts to pick up some of the program spaces that are currently held in the modular classroom, or the modulars. So then when we look at the 2nd floor of Hillside, you have a gain of 4 classrooms, but it's actually a net gain of 3, because where you see that corridor start to punch through up at the intersection of the proposed and the existing, that's a classroom there. So we need to come through that classroom, and we need to provide a classroom to support the classroom that we're coming through. So you pick up 3 classrooms and a number of SGI spaces, again, to address the programs that are currently in the modulars. On Hillside, also, we included the parking lot, an additional parking lot, up on the upper left-hand corner. So when Mount Pleasant Middle becomes an elementary school, we take the elementary classrooms that were in Mount Pleasant Elementary, we move them over into Mount Pleasant Middle. Mount Pleasant Middle, as I'll get into next, that 6th grade will go to Heritage, where Heritage becomes a 6-8. So when you look at Mount Pleasant Middle, which would become now the Mount Pleasant Elementary, what's required are 18 classroom spaces, but you have existing is 24. So you have a lot of spare capacity for growth in the district with this option. We're also proposing, down in the plan middle, we're proposing, in addition to the existing cafeteria, which would allow for better use of the cafeteria and support and serve more students, as opposed to spreading the students out through the cafeteria, the gym, the auxiliary gyms, and additional spaces throughout. The second floor of Mount Pleasant Middle just shows the classrooms in blue that would be occupied in grades K through 5, and then the classrooms in yellow would be spare capacity, showing opportunities for growth at this school. Riker Hill would be similar. We need one classroom at this school, so we put that addition at the end. So you have the classroom, the faculty, and the SGI, and then at the upper, I'm sorry, on the left-hand side, you have the add of a faculty bathroom. This facility, it was a far run for the faculty bathrooms from the one side of the building to the other. So we captured some space at the end of the corridor to allow for a renovation for a faculty bathroom. So when we get into Heritage, as I said, Heritage becomes a 6-8. When you bring an entire grade from one school to the other, what you have is currently you have 48 classrooms, you need 82. So we're proposing an additional 34 classrooms get added to Heritage. Now we're going to talk about, with Heritage, we're going to talk about a lot of other program spaces that will be triggered by this as well. We're good? Okay. To pick up where we left off, we're looking at Heritage Middle School, where Heritage Middle School becomes a 6 through 8. What would be required to accommodate, again, Take 2? Okay. Now we're good? Okay. For Heritage Middle School to accommodate the 6th grade as an addition, we would need 34 additional classrooms as well as other academic spaces. And working with the district on this, I'm going to jump up a plan to get to the main entrance, and then I'm going to come back down a plan. So what you're seeing here would be the entry level. Currently, you have the drop-off that would be in the plan center with the cafeteria, media center, and kitchen existing on the left-hand side of the entrance and the auditorium on the right-hand side. So what we would be proposing, because the auditorium currently is too small for the needs of the district, as well as the cafeteria when you move this level of students into the building. So we would be proposing creating more of a commons approach as you come into the building, where we would be renovating the existing media center and cafeteria into one large cafeteria, renovating the kitchen. That would be the area in the middle that's in that yellowish color. When you see the area to the right of that, that would be the commons. The existing auditorium becomes a commons and a new media center, and the spaces behind that, it would be for STEM. The natural progression of additions on this building are at the end of the corridor that runs left to right. As you see the classrooms in blue, what we're able to do with this plan is create a loop at this level. So at the second floor level or main level, we're able to create a loop that loops around from the addition back into the science wing that was added on a number of years ago. Now I'm going to drop back down a plan and talk about what happens at the lower level. As I stated, on the main level, is the auditorium is too small to accommodate the needs of the building. So you would have, as part of the addition, you would have a new auditorium off to what plan left, and that's shown in pink. New entrance for the auditorium, and then the classroom wing would shoot up from there. Now we would bring over from behind the existing auditorium the 2 new music spaces and I believe that's a wood shop space that would be tucked back in that corner. On the opposite side of the plan, we would create a new gymnasium. We would connect that to the existing corridor by going through the existing art room. So the art room would become a small group instruction space, and then we would propose a new art room but down the corridor, as well as a professional development area for district staff to use. Along with the addition, we would be proposing an additional parking lot to the plan south of the auditorium. I'm going to jump now up one more level. So this would be the third floor plan coming up from the lowest level. And as you can see, we've mirrored or carried up what we did on the second floor, where we create that loop of building addition at the end of the academic wing, taking that up plan north and connecting back into the science room. Allows for better circulation throughout the entire building and ease the students' movement through the facility. Now the high school. The high school gets a fair amount of work. A number of years ago, we studied this portion of the high school for a performing arts center. So as, again, the space we're in, the existing auditorium, is too small to accommodate an entire grade level. So we're proposing, I'm going to start to the plan right and work my way to the front of the building. So we're proposing a new auditorium, scene shop, storage, I believe it's dance, excuse me, let me get that right. 3D art studio, dance studio. Working your way around, we would renovate the cafeteria, the kitchen. You would have support spaces for music, a guitar and music library, music theory, practice rooms. The space we're currently in would be converted or renovated into a cafeteria annex. So that would spill directly across from the existing cafeteria, the renovated cafeteria, and then further spill out onto the what we're going to make is an outdoor courtyard for students to eat on campus at an outside space. As well as the cafeteria annex, in the blue, we'll be creating a multi-purpose room that could be used for combining of grades for a lecture, bringing in smaller assembly spaces where you don't need the entire auditorium. To the left of that, we would renovate the existing admin offices into guidance and the nurse, and the existing guidance would wrap around. That's in the deeper purple, and then we have a series of small group instruction spaces that face the corridor. We would be renovating the existing media center, and then the piece that to make the classrooms work that would be required for again that projected enrollment, we would put an addition on to the front of the building. So this would be where the current car drop-off is, that not touching the oval of the town, the lawn of the town, but that initial front space where there's a drop-off loop. I believe buses drop off there now. So we would be creating a new entry to the building with admin to the plan right, and then at this level, 6 academic classrooms. Now the front piece is a 3-story addition that's going to go in front of the building. So this is the first floor. Yes, okay. Second floor, you see that front addition. So you're going to have on the right-hand side, you're going to have 4 classrooms, and on the left-hand side, you're going to have 4 science labs. Now again, the science labs, what we've chosen to do is create and connect the science labs to the science addition that was done. So you have that circulation pattern that loops through the building. So you saw that on the first floor, now you're seeing it again on the second floor. And what we'll do is we'll be able to connect through the addition up through the addition into the existing, where the existing glass entry is, and connect through and create a corridor that would connect to the second floor corridor, allowing that loop circulation. When you start to look at a facility of this size, you get long runs to go between, for these kids to go between classes. So we tried to capture circulation paths as best we could. Now, there's also 3 spaces where they are currently utilized as classrooms. We would, because of their size, we would be repurposing them as small group instruction spaces. And at the high school, lastly, you would have the 3rd floor, which picks up 11 classroom spaces at this level. Now, this level has to be standalone because there's no 3rd floor currently on the campus, so this would have to be a standalone 3rd floor. We would provide the required egress, but we can't make that connection back into the existing building at this level. To give you an idea of what that would look like, this is what you would see from the oval. That's the science edition that was done to the left. This would be the new entry, new facade, new image of Livingston High School. We've chosen to pick up a lot of the architectural vocabulary of both the entrance, the existing entrance, where you can see we'll be bringing in a new cupola, the Palladian style window. We've also picked up some of the architecture from the science building and carried that through, but we're creating a new significant entrance into the high school. Also at the high school would be athletic field improvements. So currently you have the turf field at the football stadium. I believe you guys call it the pit. So we would be turfing the pit with football, soccer. I think you're getting all the sports. You're getting lacrosse, baseball, softball. I don't think it's lined for field hockey, but we can work and confirm all the sports that would go there. As I said early on in the presentation, one of the other goals was the centralize of the bus depot. So on the Board of Ed office site, there is room. You can see that's the entire property parcel that's for the Board of Ed admin offices. We would be picking up a centralized bus depot where all the buses would be stored and kept there. Monmouth Court would receive renovations, exterior and interior, sidewalks replacement, door replacement, window replacement, roofs, asbestos abatement, interior classroom renovations, boiler replacement, as well as fire alarm upgrades. Security and access control and IT upgrades throughout the district, door access control, video surveillance, PA system upgrades, roof replacement, HVAC, BMS controls, and network upgrades. So for option 1, the cost. Construction cost is $175,364,750. Project cost, that's what we call the soft costs. That's engineering, architect, attorney, construction manager, contingency, testing, permits, Department of Education fees. That equates to about 30% of the construction costs. So on this option 1, it's $52,609,425 for a total project cost of $227,974,175. That does not take into account debt service aid. The district will be working with the bond counsel and the financial advisor to get a handle on the debt service aid, what will be available, as well as should this move forward, the Department of Education would work up what is the debt service aid on the student growth. Do I want to take questions on option 1 or just wait to the end?
while
Okay.
people have them.
Okay. So before I go into option 2, any questions on option 1?
I have a few questions. What assumptions did you make about the current policy of soft borders when you were thinking about the building space at each individual elementary school?
We took into account what the demographer projected for each building.
each building.
Each building. Then we worked that into the district practice, class size practice, and that determined what was needed based on the housing impact for each. Because the demographer broke up what the impact would be for each building.
Right.
Then it would be at the district to decide how the soft borders would be adjusted.
And you were using the assumption of the current K-2 22 students and 3 and up
Yes.
25
Yes.
was the current assumption. Okay. And I don't know if you want to ask general questions or, okay. Just some questions about Mount Pleasant as you proposed it. Right now, there's a lot of additional space for growth, and you're assuming specifically elementary school growth. Are there, I know that we can't make any assumptions about pre-K expansion, but did we have enough information in our research to make certain assumptions about what pre-K expansion might look like?
Well, when you look at the pre-K, that's where you look at, let me go all the way back to Mount Pleasant Elementary. I took what you currently have, which is six pre-K classrooms. And you see that you have that level of growth available to you, should the district decide to offer additional seats for pre-K. You have that capability to do so.
Okay. And right now, the Mount Pleasant Middle and the Mount Pleasant Elementary spaces as they are have been flexible based on enrollment in one part of the building. So if there is pre-K expansion because we decide to add additional seats, or at some point in the future, if there is universal pre-K and we are accommodating the students who live here at the pre-K level, is there flexibility built into the space in the new elementary proposed part
Yes.
of the building?
Yes, because if you look, you've got a significant amount of growth available in the existing pre-K, and then if you look, it's not, oh, okay, just a delay. When you look at Mount Pleasant Middle, which would become the Mount Pleasant Elementary, again, all the spaces in yellow allow for growth, so you have a significant amount. When you look at that soft border, now, that border happens right there at that intersection where I've got blue classrooms. Those blue classrooms don't have to be blue classrooms, right? Because you have ability for growth, should the elementary or what would be the pre-K center need more, you can just swing those classrooms into the spaces that are listed, that are shown in yellow. You follow me? So there is that opportunity for that soft between the two. And that's currently how it's done now. I believe that's the area that allows that back and forth to go.
You know, you're predicting all of this, say, preschool growth. Is this, if at this level of preschool growth, is that accounted for as they're moving through the years in this design?
That's the hard part, because the demographer can only project out 5 years. So we have to use what he has now for pre-K and what you guys currently offer for pre-K. You can't predict anything out further than 5 because they're not born yet.
But these pre-K students, let's say we expanded in there and expanded our pre-K, they would be students that would hit our roles in kindergarten. So, you know, it just means we're expanding a program for younger age kids.
So I want to flip to heritage,
Okay.
which, you know, it would be the addition of 6th grade. And the question I have is, how do we take into account the challenge of the volume of cars that are already on that street during pickup and drop off and then pickup, and then to add an additional grade? How do we assess our ability to manage through that, as well as work with the township to ensure that we can successfully and safely add an additional grade there?
Correct. So we would, should you choose to go with this option, we would continue to work. I'm sorry, let me get to Harry's for the people that are. So when you look at Heritage, we would work with the town to potentially make that a one-way street during pickup and drop off only. Then during those hours, then on the off hours, then it becomes back to a two-way street. We look at control. There's three points. There's 2 points out on the main road, and then one that feeds back towards the Livingston Mall. So we'd have to look at timing and control of those and how they spill back into the community. We'd work with the district, we'd work with the town as to what that would require and what would need to be provided on a daily basis. We'd look at how to queue both buses and cars in a manner to minimize the potential of kids crossing in where they shouldn't be. You know, inevitably kids are going to get out wherever, right? But how do you get them to pull all the way up? How do you get the parent to pull all the way up and not drop off down at the faculty parking? Those types of things would have to be further analyzed, and if you were to move forward with option 1 as a 6-8.
So when you were looking at the bus depot, how would that work in the current thinking? Would there be a route out a different way, or would the route out come toward the school?
The current route out would be down through, and it would be the drive that goes up to the Board of Ed office. That's the current route that was proposed for the bus depot.
Okay.
Okay, we can look at, I believe there's some other issues with the site that still have to be further analyzed, but what's nice about that is that drive that goes up to the Board of Ed office is in line with one of the access points across the street to the middle school. So that gets that one less intersection. Now the buses would be out of there prior to pickup, right? They have to make the routes. So they would come back after all the routes are completed, the high school, the middle school, the elementary schools. By that time, traffic on Foxcroft would be a lot less, and it would allow them to circulate back up and into the bus depot. Same thing in the afternoon. They would be out well before to pick up high school, then hit middle school, and then on to the elementary schools. And when they come back for the end of the day, the traffic on Foxcroft would be significantly less.
Just what I was going to say.
Just continuing at Heritage, the addition
Sure.
of the auditorium would
Sure.
take away the entirety of that baseball field that's there? How much, I mean.
No, we
are
would-
losing- How much, are we losing that field?
You're not losing an entirety. you would be pushing it over to the plan left. And then we would have to better utilize the lower piece of it as well.
Okay.
And the upper field still be intact?
No, we have to take some of it. We do, because
Okay.
because of the size of the addition. But you're not losing it in entirety. So you would
Right.
push over the baseball field, but then the fields that are going the wrong way, sorry. I don't have a good site plan of it. So the piece that planned north, the fields that are planned north, which I think they dip down, we'd have to better utilize those spaces for athletics.
So is that another area where you would be coordinating or on the athletic programming, because it's beyond just the programming we have in our schools, but the township
Yes.
recreation programs?
Yes,
And
you'd have to
things like
work
that?
with the town rec department to see, and for scheduling for what the impact would be to their programs as well. You're picking up fields at the pit that allows better use year-round. You don't have the weather issues to keep you off those fields. So that gains what you may lose at Heritage, you would gain at the pit.
So what were the assumptions made about the pit in terms of the district's use of that space?
With all our field space, it's used, after school hours and usually in the first half of a Saturday. And the rest of our fields are used by the recreation departments after our teams are off the fields and in the afternoon on Saturdays as well as on Sundays.
And we can obviously go back to the analysis that drove the decision to, when we originally were planning to update the pit on what its usage could be, so.
So with the high school space, can you just speak to what the additional spaces are going to be for the various programming? Like how many more science-specific
Okay,
spaces?
yeah,
or-
I could get into science and academic. We
Or-
didn't
or-
break down what's going to be business, what's going to be world languages. We just said academic spaces and science. So I think you pick up 4 additional science labs. 10, 21 additional academic spaces, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 small group instruction spaces. Now that's just in the addition. And you pick up a faculty room on each level. So you pick up 3 faculty rooms.
It would give us the opportunity to kind of redistribute, right now, the way the class utilization is being done, you've got classes, outside of where we've allotted them departments previously. So, with the 3rd floor especially, you're going to kind of redistrict departments. We have concepts of a plan.
There's nothing happening in the Health and Wellness Center space
No.
stands on its own?
Yes.
Still?
Yes.
And I know with some of the elementary schools, when we did the last construction, we created the small group instruction spaces to be flexible, to turn into classrooms or vice versa. Is that something that will be flexible in this plan?
Yes.
Or it will be?
Yes, we can, not just that, not just the small group spaces flexible to, or classrooms flexible to turn into a small group. or vice versa, but we'll also, in the additions at the elementary schools, should they warrant it, design the structure like we did in Hillside, that it could accommodate a future second floor. As you can see, that we're able to capture that space in this referendum that we designed for 13 years ago, I think. Is it 13?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's about right.
Yeah.
So that would happen in which buildings?
We could go through and we could do Riker, we could do, well, Hillside's already taken advantage of it, Harrison, Burnett, yeah, they're all easy to do as an additional second floor. Now they may, should you want to do that, for Burnett, for example, we may want to provide an additional SGI room now that would then be converted into a stairwell, right? SGIs and stairwells, they tend to work nicely together as size requirements. So we would also then provide a space that would be utilized for an elevator, or we would add the elevator on as part of, should you need 13 years from now, should you need an addition, we would provide the elevator as part of that. But we would size the structure and the roofing to handle that second floor now, or down the road.
Is that notion baked into the current costs?
Yes. No, it'd be Burnett. Hillside, we're already utilizing that second floor. So Burnett, Harrison, Riker. Riker's small. If you look at Riker, it's just a classroom at the end. When we get into option 2 and the addition that's at, we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit. When we get into option 2, and I think it's option 2C and D, yeah. That really weighs itself in more for a second floor addition because it's got the size. If you were to do that on this addition in option 1, you're not gaining anything. You're gaining, by the time you put two stairwells and elevator, you're picking up a classroom. So if you were to do Riker 13 years from now, I would recommend you, well, let's go look at option 2C that I'm about to show you. That's a better use of Riker, bigger picture.
And can you just talk a little bit about the classroom renovations and the assumptions you made about Monmouth Court?
Okay, so I looked at Monmouth Court about a year ago, and we went through a list of items, the doors, the windows, not all the windows, I believe we did some of the windows. Oh, I don't remember when we did that project. We did some of the windows back then, but the doors we did not do. The classrooms still need a little bit further renovation. We would be dividing the cafeteria the multi-purpose room that was left. We would be dividing that into classrooms should you need that. Let me just get that scope of work up.
So those offices would still remain on the first floor?
Well, we'd have to really get into if the district still wants those offices there. Okay, this was a wish list that I worked over with Jamie Peretti as to what really to kind of like the windows, roofs, that gets the building fully, protect the shell. Then the boiler and the fire alarm upgrades, things that need to happen to that building, again, the heating plant, you want to, again, protect the building. Then if you want, then the classroom renovations, we would put that in with if the offices are going to come out or the offices would stay.
Okay. But the classroom renovations you're talking about right now are on the second floor still?
Yes, second.
Okay.
Yes.
Is our ownership of the building dependent on that?
That's something you would have to work out with the town. I did a cost estimate as if yes, but that's something that still needs to be vetted with the town.
And the high school auditorium addition obviously goes into the north parking lot. Do you have a sense of how many spaces we would now need to reaccommodate?
Let me get that fast enough. Can I get back to you on that? Because I'd have to dig through. That came up a number of years ago. A, B, C, and D. Okay. So when we look at option 2, now you're going to have to follow along because option 2 is, as we've kind of alluded, there's sub-options inside of option 2 based on the I'm sorry.
1 minute, Alan.
Sure.
I want to make sure if there are committee members here, if they have any questions on option 1. Okay.
Do you need, does she need this?
No, she's, Ellen.
Individuals. Can you hear me? Yeah. Have you made provisions for an elevator?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I made reference to it when I talked about the 3rd floor, but yes, there would be, and that's, if you look at, just go back real quick. You can in the corner between the existing science room and the new addition, there's an elevator there, which again, that allowed us to, when we connected the floors, that took care of accessibility issues. But when we went to that 3rd floor, the elevator doesn't go to that 3rd floor. The existing science building doesn't go to the 3rd floor. So we actually had to provide a second elevator, which would be in the new proposed addition that would service all 3 floors. So you would have the full accessibility to all 3 floors, as well as the required egress out of it as well. Mm-hmm.
So you made a couple of references to the demographic projections.
Yes.
Could you just remind us all how far out those go? And I assume your comments about the available classrooms and needed classrooms covered that time frame, but just so folks on Zoom and all of us can remember how far out this would cover us.
They go out 5 years.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
No, so they go out 5 years. Well, actually, when you look, because they track back too, right? So as I said earlier, that if it's projected out more than 5 years, those students aren't around yet. They're not hitting the system yet as kindergarten.
The students don't, but a lot of this is driven by all of our knowledge about housing development happening in town.
Yes. Okay. So to address that, the demographer works with the planning department, the planning board, and the planning that are on the docket with the planning board is what gets figured in. Should there be additional, they don't know. So they can only go off of what they know, and that's where they've worked with the planning board to look at the projects that have been slated already and are currently under construction.
Thank you for that context. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The $227 million, that's in today's dollars, right?
That's projected out. If this is looking at a April of 27 referendum, where we would have April 27 referendum vote date, and I've got a schedule later on in the presentation of how long it would take to get documents out to bid, where we would receive the numbers from a bidder. Now, we do take that into consideration when we do these estimates.
So how many bidders you think you're going to, not bidders, but how many contractors you think you're going to need? You're not going to give it to just one.
No. We would not give it to just one. Very similar to what we did through the last couple projects. I think on the last one, I think we had 2 different contractors across when we did the Riker addition, Riker Harrison, Hillside, Collins, and Burnett additions. I think when we had those, I think that was given up to 2 different contractors, if I remember correctly. So we would structure it accordingly. The high school may be its own project. More than likely, it probably will. That's way down the road. I'd like to get to the vote and then vote yes, and then let's see how we're going to break this up so that one, we're not giving one job 200, no, it's 100, 100, yeah, it's not the soft cost. Contract doesn't get the soft cost. So we wouldn't want to give that whole pie to one contractor, right? He goes south or they go south, you know what kind of shape we're going to be in. So the small additions, Riker, Burnett, Harrison, that may be one bid, that may be one package. Anything at Monmouth, because that's renovation, that's improvement stuff. That would go out as a separate package because you can turn those around faster from my standpoint. The windows, the doors, that package can go out, and that can go to one different contractor. So you see what
Yes. One other point.
Mm-hmm.
The 227 million doesn't include interest costs on the bond issues that you're going to have.
That I would have to defer to the bond counsel on. That would be the total project cost would be what the voters would vote on.
Well, the people who are going to bid are going to ask for money. Right now, I think it's 4% for bonds out in the years 20, 25 years from now.
Yeah, that I would have to defer. I'm not.
I'm an expert.
Okay.
We'll have our financial planner come and explain all that when they get through all the calculations.
Okay.
Anybody else? Seeing none here, is there anybody on Zoom? No, about option 1. We decided we're gonna. Oh. Seeing none, we can move
on to option 2.
option 2A.
Okay. So when we look at option 2 at the elementary levels, we're looking at keeping the pre-K as part of the elementary school. Now, as I said, inside of option 2, you'll see 2A, 2B, 2C, and 2D, and they vary depending on where the pre-K falls. Currently, the pre-K is at Burnett, as I've stated earlier. So option 2A keeps the pre-K at Burnett. Then you'll have what I'm calling the intermediate school, which would be, the elementary grades would be a pre-K 4. So we're going to take the 5th grade out of each of the elementary schools. And I'm calling it an intermediate school. The Mount Pleasant Middle would be a 5-6. Then the Heritage Middle would stay a 7-8. The high school would stay a 9-12. We have the same athletic field upgrades, the same central bus depot, Monmouth Court renovations, and then the security and access control as in option 1. So where option 1 and option 2 differ really happens at the elementary and the middle schools. The high school scope stayed exactly the same as in option 1. So when we get into option 2A, as I said earlier, that the pre-K stays here. So you can't utilize those spaces for other grade levels. But we're taking that 5th grade out and moving it to Mount Pleasant. So currently, or projected is 5 sections of 5th grade. So when you have the 5 sections come out, you have 5 open spaces, but you need, and it's still need, an additional 3. And we're also picking up the program spaces from the modular. So this shows an addition off to the upper left-hand corner, 3 classrooms, faculty, SGIs, or excuse me, small group. Now, here's when we talk about the question that you had earlier about the second floor. This is a perfect candidate for a second floor, sizing the structure for a second floor. If you look at the size of it, it allows that to be useful down the road. So when you have the option 2A, where pre-K stays at Burnett, I'm sorry, this is 2. Let me go to Collins. When you have the 2A, when you have the pre-K stay at Burnett, and the 5th grade pulls out of Collins, remember it's 5 sections per grade. So now you have 5 available classrooms for growth at Collins. Okay? You follow that so far? But when you go to 2B, we're putting those 6 pre-K in Collins. So I showed you before that we had 5 open spaces, but we need 6. So that's where Collins gets an addition of 1 classroom, and that's up to the plan north. Okay. So this goes into plan 2B and 2C, all the 2B and 2D all at the same time. I'm going to come back to 2D. So when you have that at Harrison, again, you're pulling those 5 grades out. Now you have, when you looked at option 1, where you needed 3 classrooms, 3. So now you have 2 extra spaces at Harrison. Okay. Hillside, lower level, we don't have to do that addition to the plan south anymore, because we really just need the 2 spaces at Hillside. We're still coming through and we're building on top of what we did a number of years ago, and still accommodating what has to be done. But again, you're pulling out those 5 and you're taking them over to Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant Elementary, same. You see the 5 spare classrooms. Then when you get into Riker, you had, when we showed where we needed the 1, now you have the 3 available classes. Now this is where you get 2C and 2D. Showed you 3 there that you had available just as a pre-K, as a K4, excuse me. But when you go to a pre-K 4, you need to capitalize the spaces that you had in 2 and still add on 4 classrooms to the plan south. Again, this is where I said in option 1, I wouldn't recommend doing option 1 as a future 2-story, but this would be a perfect candidate for that, because again, that size that you have. Okay, so with 2C, and so when you go to 2D, in talking with the district, we felt that let's look at an option 2D where it allows for growth at the pre-K. So that would take Collins and Riker and turn them into pre-K 4s. Okay, so you would have addition at Collins and addition at Riker. Okay, the matrix of the options can get a little confusing. Mount Pleasant Middle, when we take that 5th grade out, so now if you think about it, we've got 5 sections per elementary school. So we need a proposed 28 additional classrooms, because we had 2 before, so we need 28 additional classrooms. So you see that plan to the expansion to the north on this. Now this is academic classrooms, a new cafeteria, a new kitchen, and an additional gymnasium at this school, as well as I showed you in option 1, expansion of the existing cafeteria down in the lower right-hand side.
And that's really due to unhoused students based on the demographic study.
Yes, that takes into account the projected growth in grades K across the district. But when you take those 5 sections that are required because of the increased enrollment, that's what takes those into account. So at Mount Pleasant Middle, to accommodate the 28 classrooms, that needs to be a 3-story addition. Otherwise, we're pushing too far into the athletic fields to the plan north. I'm going to stop there for a minute because that's all the options. So is there any questions with kind of the breakdown of the options at the elementary school level?
Just, I guess, for, what do you feel the educational experience will be, and how will it be different between option 1 proposed and option 2 proposed? Did you have discussion about that?
We did. I mean, and I'll speak for myself and others can chime in. I mean, I think moving the 6th grade to Heritage would be what I would say a truer middle school experience for the students versus, 1 year and done in a school and move on. There'd be less transitions, which I'll be honest, the transitions tend to be more challenging for parents and students. The big question mark there is traffic. There's no escaping that, and we had maps out with arrows, trying to figure this out, and we would work with professionals who do that, and with the town if there's cutouts that can be done, if there's widening of the road that can be done, to make that as best as possible. And education to parents. Are there opportunities where, they don't have to pull up to the school, where they can meet their child someplace and pick them up or drop them off, and the students walk the last 2 or 3 blocks to school?
Do you feel like the issue with the traffic would be much different between having Heritage as a 6-8 or having Mount Pleasant as 5 and 6?
Both schools are real challenges as far
Both are.
as traffic is concerned. They even have what's the street at MPE that's one way during school hours?
Shuttle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to Dan's point, the reason for the 2 options is that, both options are certainly viable. It would be a change, it would be a shift. I know that, we would have to educate the community on what it means to take the 5th grade out of their home schools, but start, a second, a 5-6 building, which, again, as someone who spent years in the high school, when you do something multiple years, that then becomes the next tradition. So, some of the leadership opportunities with 5th graders would go to 4th grade, and you start to build your 5-6 culture. But to Dan's point, yeah, ideally from a programmatic standpoint, a 6 through 8 building does allow you to have a true middle school. It does allow us to, expand the pre-K, and there is, space in the new MPE building that, should there continue to be growth in the district, that we can look at, the additional spaces, which may mean future shifting of redistricting, where the existing classrooms would be.
As opposed to option 1, option 2, how many classrooms does option 2, preschool classrooms, does option 2 give us? Or are we just holding it at the number?
You're holding it to 6.
6.
Unless we go with the option D. With
Yes,
the
I'm sorry,
2D.
yes.
One of the reasons why we added 2D was it does then allow you to put the 6 classrooms at Riker Hill and Collins at the opposite corners of the district. That would allow us to expand by 6 rooms.
But how
Yeah,
does
you would
that,
actu-
how is that as far as an educational experience, to have a pre-K program that's housed in 3 different buildings?
2 different.
Riker Hill and Collins.
You know, we would have to duplicate, you know, the program that we have currently.
No, my questions are all programmatic about option two. They're less structural.
Okay, you want me to continue on with option two? Okay, because when you get into heritage at option two, when you look at heritage at option two, that stayed at 7.8. But we still, to accommodate the projected enrollment increase, we still needed 9 classrooms added. So, and we picked up a lot of the pieces that the district liked in option one. So the auditorium, the commons, the moving the music and creating that second gym, those stayed with option two, as well as that smaller L-shaped addition that you see that could lead to future, you know, option two, the way it's shown here, could eventually grow into the option one. Then when on the upper level, you still have that commons approach at the entry where you've got the enlarged cafeteria, the kitchen renovated, the commons, the media center, and the STEM rooms. But this would just have academic classrooms only at the one level, which would be the lower portion. You follow that? Then the high school, it stayed the same as option one. We didn't change up the rendering. The athletic field improvement, same. Bus depot, same. Monmouth Court, and the security access. Now, I'm just showing the range. So this is between the low side and the higher side, the high side being 2D, which is the additions at both, the significant additions at both Collins and Riker. So instead of going through all the breakdown, just the total numbers is 230 million to 236 million, depending on which option you were to take. Again, this does not take into account any debt service aid at this point. We'll get those numbers from bond counsel and the Department of Ed. Okay. So I'm going to just kind of talk a little bit about schedule, if that's all right. If you're targeting an April of 27 referendum, you kind of work backwards from that. The first one, the more than 9 months prior, that's the upfront work that we've done to date. That's the working with the district to develop the scope and cost. We'll start to work on the schematic submission, and then you guys tell me which option that you like, whether it's one or two, or if it's a variation thereof. 9 months prior, we need to submit this application to the state. The state needs 9 months. The Department of Education needs 9 months to approve this. So if you work backwards from April 20th to 27, we're submitting this the end of July, early August at the latest. 6 months prior, the Department of Ed gives you your preliminary eligible cost, which is they call the PEC letter. That's going to tell you that's going to lock in the amount of debt service aid you're going to get, both for students, enrollment increases, as well as any renovation costs. So the student enrollment increase numbers, the debt service aid on that is what goes towards the new construction. The renovation cost, that's cut and dry. That's a set percentage that the department gives for renovations and also facility improvements. Unfortunately, your site work is not included in that. They don't provide debt service aid, so the turf fields would not be eligible for debt service aid, as well as parking. 60 days prior, you get the submission of the vote wording that goes to the County Board of Elections, and then lastly, you get that vote day on April 20th of 2027. So it's the third Tuesday in April. Okay. And then, sir, to your point, how long it's going to take post-referendum. So for any capital improvement projects, that's your facility improvements, that's the Monmouth Court project, that's should you want to break up anything inside the buildings, that's some of your door access control, video surveillance. That's about 6 to 7 months all in from the day of referendum. So we need about 2 to 3 months for construction documents on the smaller projects. You give about a month in bidding, And then you try and time these so they happen over the summer. You really want these types of projects to happen over the summer. So you got a 3 to 4 month window on that. So that's 6 to 7 months. The bigger projects, depending on which one, right? Depending on the high school, depending on an addition, depending on, again, how we package them, is anywhere from 6 to 9 months of just me and my staff drawing away, coordinating structure and mechanical, electrical, plumbing. You also, a project of this magnitude needs to go to the Office of State Comptroller. Office of State Comptroller takes about 4 months to review the contract and the specifications. So that figured in on a project of this size, because we'll have multiple bids, we would recommend about a 2-month bidding window on this. Construction, based on where it is, anywhere from 18 to 36 months, 36 months being the high school. So you're looking at 30 to 51 months from April of 27. You would be occupying all the projects complete. Okay, so the high school complete. Some of the projects that are smaller in scale would come online earlier, but the total duration would be about 51 months.
One question that I have, you do keep talking about packaging it. Now, who sort of decides how we are packaging this and going out for bid?
Okay, so because of this is a referendum, there is legislation that the district is going to need to hire a construction manager. Okay, project of this size, I would recommend it. Right, you're going to have multiple contractors. You're touching every site. You've got so much stuff to coordinate. I would recommend that well, you have to engage a construction manager. Not that I just recommend it, but you have to. Working with them is how we work with them to figure out the best way to break this project apart. Right. I think again, the last time we did the additions, I think we did 3 bid packages, if I remember right. We did package A, package B, and package C. And package C was package A and package B combined. And we try and figure out what's going to give the district the best bang for their buck. Sometimes you get economy of scale. Sometimes you start to see who's the bidder, and you go, well, let's not award all this to bidder A. Let's break this apart. And that's the strategy that our firm, as well as the construction manager, because you want a construction manager that specializes in education, right? You're going to want an Epic, a Legacy, somebody like that they know how to handle projects of this magnitude and this complexity. Then we start to strategize what's the best for the district. What's next? Oh, that's it. So any questions on option 2, the tail end of option 2, the schedule?
Less a question than an ask, more than an ask. What I would appreciate is, can we create a summary table of option 1 and option 2 of how many unhoused spaces there are as a result of both options? Because I think when we think about what the potential of either one is, considering where expansion is and how much expansion is, because it's obvious in option 1, right? There's a significant amount of pre-K expansion and a significant amount of elementary expansion at Mount Pleasant. What is the current Mount Pleasant Middle, the potential future Mount Pleasant Elementary? What's harder to picture is how much unhoused capacity there would be in option 2.
Yes.
Across the 4 lettered options.
Yes.
So if we could just table that out so that we can have that as a consideration set, because thinking future wise of where expansion is possible, because in option 1, it's really possible in one place.
Correct.
At the elementary level.
Correct. Okay, I can do that for you. I would compare. I would compare. Yeah, if I'm doing it for one, I might as well do it for both. Yes, that showed the most opportunities for future expansion without building additions. Let's say that. Option 2 is a little bit more. There's not, depending on how the matrix would fall, A, B, C, or D, is where you would have. So say in option 2 and 2A, I think you had a space available at Collins, but that disappears in option 2B, right? So we'd have to kind of play that out for you, which we can do.
What are the assumptions about class size for pre-K in this plan?
There are standards, I don't know what they are, but
Okay.
it doesn't reach the level of
Right, okay,
kindergarten.
okay. And just a clarification about the available dates. So April the 3rd
Oh,
Tuesday.
you went to my question, my cheat sheet.
Oh.
Should that question come up, I have a couple of cheat sheet
Yeah.
slides.
Yes, I like the cheat sheet. So with the asterisk, based on Board of Education election date, which means that we would, in this plan, have to
Yes,
move the Board of Education election.
yes,
Right?
yes.
Can I ask a questions about the option 2D? If
Two.
if you're gonna have the pre-K to 4 at Collins and Riker, does it mean all the ABA and Pride program gonna be duplicated in 2 schools?
Yes, we would duplicate the program.
Okay, thank you.
Would there be any work done outside besides the fields? Like, for example, the sidewalks or maybe landscaping, would that be done at all? Is that factored in?
Only where we're touching. So like, for example, on Riker, what you have in front of you, we're moving Plan South into the existing parking lot, so we would be moving that parking lot over to the left and I believe we're picking up parking at that location. So just really that kind of overall facility improvements as part of this scope of work. Only really where we're touching. Okay?
Can you just review one more time, what is the Mama's Court gonna be mainly function for?
Right now, it's our alternative high school, and it would continue to be that.
Okay,
But it
so
would be under our ownership, which means, if there's an availability to expand it or to take in tuition students from other districts who may need it, something we could consider.
okay, thank you.
We've already renovated inside, and I think the district is put in the elevator and the stairwell.
Yes.
So, we've taken on quite a bit in that building already.
Dr. Fishbein, if you could, obviously we have the timeline that was just presented, but can you discuss what our immediate next steps are?
As we talked about, I believe it was the first meeting in May, that the district, really the board has to decide, what it wants to do as far as its own board election. And when I mean board election, when we vote on new board members, whether we vote on the budget in the future, which will allow, as we saw this year, our expenses outpace what we're able to raise in revenue. So whether the board chooses to do an additional spending question to help with that situation as well.
So that can only, both referendum and spending question can only happen if we move the board election to April 3rd at the same time.
If you did it at the same time.
And that April 20th date was if you just had a referendum question.
No, all would happen. All would happen on that day. Because that changes. The only way you can go from November to April is when it coincides with the board elections. So if your board elections are on November, you can't vote in April for a referendum.
Just some questions about changing the Board of Education election and having a referendum vote, considering an extra spending question. First, have you talked about what the staffing needs might be, given the expansion? It might be very premature, but I'm just wondering about that. And second, what would be the way that we rebuild the structure that we used to have in place with budget task force and people who are working in our PTAs, HSAs, PTOs, working with us through some of this planning, about those two things?
That did come up at PT Council just a bit, and from, the people that were there were plenty of volunteers that wanted to step up and help, sell these projects. I mean, you're really looking, I would term this as like a generational
Yes.
referendum. So you really look at this for, 20 years.
Right. I agree with you that it's a generational
As far as,
consideration.
additional staffing, that's a real challenge. Unless your district grows dramatically in a short period of time, usually enrollment isn't readily available as a spending growth limitation adjustment. And we've seen, strong, steady growth instead of, a real dramatic increase. But as these projects come online, and remember, there are certain areas in the town that are going to see construction, like Livingston Mall. That's outside the 5 years.
So can you address briefly, if you know now or at a future meeting, the number of new construction spaces that we'll be seeing that we did account for in the demographic study versus what we may not have accounted for, like the mall, which was outside the scope of the demographic
We can do
study?
that.
Okay.
Yep.
Question always is, yes, there are new units coming online, but there is additional taxes from those units coming also.
So our growth is set, okay? So while the additional taxes, property taxes that come into the town increase the valuation of the entire town, it doesn't say we don't get like 60% of the new taxes. We can grow at 2% in any spending growth limitation adjustment that's available to us, unless we ask the community for extra spending in a separate question. Okay, so it does help the overall community as far as when the valuation increases, so the taxes are spread over a greater valuation, but it doesn't help the district as far as, more people, more housing means that we get, that we get a cut of that increase.
Yeah.
We get our 2%.
Do we know of the projects that are sort of considered in this, how many might have pilots where we might not see a lot of the tax revenues?
I think we can look at the information the town has given to us. Before the new legislative session, there was legislation that would have required that the districts were accounted for in a pilot program, at least the money the municipality received. And in our discussions with the town at the board council meetings, that's been discussed, but not a percentage.
anybody in the audience have a questions about option 2, A, B, C, D? Seeing none? Okay, buddy.
Just like to talk about the bus depot. We tried this a few years ago to build a bigger parking lot at the board office. You cannot believe how many people came out, and the Board of Ed just crumbled like a cookie. And then other thing is, with all these moving around, is there going to be an anticipated higher busing costs?
It depends on the option. With the increase of students and where the new construction is happening, yeah, there may be more additional busing that's concerned. But right now, with the current structure and, I want to say, let's say we said option 1, we don't anticipate significant increases due to where we place students because buses are already going to those places. You see what I mean?
Any other questions in the room? Seeing none. Any questions online? Seeing none. Thank you so much, Alan. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending your evening here. We appreciate all of your knowledge sharing with us and the community. And I think with that, we are going to move on to the next.
We've invited Alan back for
Yes.
next week, and he has arranged his schedule to be here in case there are other questions. So
Yes.
thank you very much for that, Alan.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much for the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to board reports. Are there any board reports?
Thank you to the Livingston Education Association for the dinner that they hosted to celebrate all of the retirees. And good luck to each and every one of them, and with great appreciation for their long service to the district.
Any other board reports? All right. Seeing none, to my favorite part of the meeting and his last one. Thank you, Abe.
All right. Well, this is my last meeting as the student representative on the Livingston Board of Education, and I wanted to just take this time to say thank you guys so much for everything you've done for me in my experience here over the past 9-10 months. I've absolutely loved doing this. Like, I learned so much about how the school system here runs, how hard everyone works, how much support goes into students' life. I got the opportunity to kind of speak out about things that I thought could use positive change, and I'm so glad that I was able to do that. And I feel like I've gotten so much respect from all these adults and administrators in the district that I hadn't even known prior to this. So I've absolutely loved this. Thank you guys so much. I couldn't recommend this position enough. Like, this has made me so much more confident in the way I speak, allowed me to meet so many new different people, and overall, I've loved being able to be the representative for the students of Livingston. I couldn't think of a better opportunity to be that representative that I've always wanted to be. So yeah, thank you all.
Well, Abe, the thing that I will say is the good fortune was only ours. It is really lonely up here sometimes when we're doing all of this work, and your voice, this is why I say this is my favorite part of the meeting. And it is, I know it is for my other board members also, because we hear directly how it is impacting the people that we center for our policies, for our governance, for every decision, for every late night. It makes it worth it. Truly do want to thank the former board before us who has created this position and allowed for space for student voice to be at this table. So thank you for everybody who's done that. Appreciate it. And with that, we have a little something for Abe that we would like to give him as a board.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate the gift and everything. I'm going to Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia.
And with that, we're going to move on to our public comment section. This is for opportunity for public comment on any item. Are there any public comments in the room about anything school? Seeing none, are there any public comments online? Yes, no? Seeing none, we are going to move ahead. Can I have a motion for 3.1 to 3.3, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Charles?
Yes.
Mr. Goen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I have a motion on 4.1 through 4.9, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
I just wanted to point out that 4.4, the date will be June 9th, 2026 for all four memoranda of understanding.
Roll call?
Mrs. Charles?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I have a motion on 5.1 and 5.2?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Charles?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Yelisevich?
Yes.
And Mrs. Kemka?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I have any items of old business?
Just one question. So the architect is coming back next week, and what's the rest of the schedule for our purposes?
The board, as you saw from his schedule, it's pretty tight. So it would have to be either at the next meeting or maybe even a special meeting to decide what option and vote on it to give the go-ahead for them to start the work they need to do on all these projects.
Thank you.
Dr. Fishbein, it would then also need to, if we were going to try to do that for the April, we would also then have to talk about the moving of the board election.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any items of old business? New business? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.